Yeah, I see this one video that pops up a lot on the TikTok is talking about no one wants to work, they don't feel like working. Um, we shouldn't have to work to live. Um, Unfortunately, in this reality, we have to work to live because even if you're not, and I've said this before, even if you're not in this matrix, you're going to be working if you're living in nature to survive. So you have to work. Um, Unless somebody else is taking care of you or you're enslaving other people. And I am in the same boat and I have the same feeling as these people when they say like they just don't want to work anymore. And what the conclusion I'm that I've come to is why they feel like this is there's a few different reasons. And it seems like a lot of these people are for socialism, which makes things even worse. Um the problem is it, we have a lot of people who are at the top who are hoarding a lot of um, li- liquidity to gain resources when the CEO of companies make 300, 400 times more than the lowest worker. That's a problem. Um, Unregulated capitalism doesn't care about anything. It doesn't care about slavery. They don't care about stealing. They don't care about anything. Um, so I think that we need some regulations with capitalism. And it doesn't care about monopolies. It actually likes monopolies. That's the whole point. You want to own everything. That's capitalism. Well, in the same sense, um, it's very similar to when the government owns everything. When you have a centralized power system, um, it creates slavery. Um, it's just weird to me that when when you get to a certain standard of living as a rich person, you really can't go anywhere else. You can't really get any more. Like you can buy more yachts, but it's like whatever, you already have it. You've already got 15 mansions. Like, okay, I'm gonna buy another one. It's just when you're at the point where you're worth billions of dollars, it's like it's time to start like giving back, and especially when you take away from the lowest workers. You keep taking. Every year has to be record profits. Every single year. Um, it's that. It's also the breakdown of the family. Um, whether whether the opposite sex wants to admit it or not, because they still think they want relationships. Um, they used to want kids and they like having kids. That is their main purpose of life. Um, to have a family, to nurture the family, to not participate in a rat race. Um, Men's purpose is to provide and protect the family. That's the main purpose. Well, we're competing with each other. And then instead of the females here in America wanting to accept a lower standard of living for the time being so they can, stay at home with their kid, develop a healthy bond, and their kids won't have mental issues. I think the main drive of the mental illness here in America is the breakdown of the family. And it's not all one sex's fault. It's not all the women's fault. It's not all the man's fault. It's just people have been told a lie. And America's extremely shallow. It's extremely toxic. Our society. There's people are all about themselves and not even caring about their kids. When you got a woman that would rather go and be at some place. I had an old boss where she just had a baby. The baby was like 1 or 2, and she was at the factory working. She should be at home with her kid. Why does she want to be in a disgusting place like this? But it's that mindset of like caring what other people think, caring what their family thinks. When your kids get older, you can work your butt off because you're gonna have more time. Get your degrees. And like people just aren't happy with what they have, and they already have a lot. It's a multiple thing. So I think that when you're a regular person like myself, and that's what most people generally are, and they kind of think that they're celebrities with their social media, which they're like like me, I'm a Z, a negative Z celebrity, even like lower, whatever lower could be, the bottom of the barrel. That's the average person. But since you have a reach of, you know, um, 500 people, 1,000 people, maybe 10,000 people, um, you think that you're one of these A-list celebrities that you see on TV in Hollywood, but you're not even close. And instead of having less when it comes to material things and things like that, here in America, people have this is what the boomers did. They traded the emotional development of their kids, and they basically bottom things. They bought their love. And they're going to feel it soon when they realize, like, why are my kids not around? And when their social security runs out and all their investments or whatever runs out because they mismanaged their money, and they were highly immature by having all these different families, and their kids don't care about them, and they actually can't even help them anyway financially, they're going to be screwed. It's the total breakdown of the family. That is why people feel the way that they feel. They see what other people have on social media. They they are jealous, they're envious, they're not actually happy with what they have. Um, Going to work, um, and it's not just that, it's we're in a financial situation, so when you go to work and you work your 40 hours, well, it's not enough. Um, in a lot of cases, if you're just a regular grunt like myself, so if you want to get ahead, you have to work more than 40 hours. Well, when you're providing for a family and you're a man and you're not having to compete with females, so um the wages are or better, and then you have to deal with the devaluation of the dollar, inflation, and everything like that. It feels like we're, we're trapped. That's what it feels like. It feels like we're trapped. And there's no carrot to the stick anymore, but we're still on the treadmill. Um, and I think that people are waking up to pursuing hollow things that we see from Hollywood. It's just not worth it. Um, and what they're lacking in their life is purpose, and their purpose is to have a family. That's the whole purpose of a human, is to um, have a partner, not multiple partners, have one partner, have children with that partner, and, you know, stay together. And that's because, like, I think with the way female nature is, if it's uncontrolled, if there's no kind of control, like it used to be here in America, there were some kind of like stigmas with being promiscuous for females or dressing provocative. Well, when those stigmas are gone and women can go and do what they want, and well, the thing is, it doesn't take any effort for a woman to um, get in bed with a man. It doesn't take any effort. But for a man, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of work for that to happen. Um, I think that I think that um, humans, they are, some people think that we're not supposed to be with just one person, but people, I think it's different. I think that we're supposed to be with just one person. I think that we are supposed to be monogamous. And yes, there is temptations. You get those temptations and you get those um, desires, but then you if you're with someone you care about, you don't want no one else to have them. Um, and it's not just that. It's like if you're a man, like if you're a woman and you have a baby, you know that's your baby. If you're a man and your woman has a baby, you have to trust that she didn't have it with another man. So it's very important for a man to trust a woman that she's not with any other men. That's like number one, like loyalty to him, because it's just so easy and it can happen at any time, and she doesn't even have to desire the man for her to get into bed with him. and she just, doesn't even have to be attracted, but that's why the oldest um the oldest job is prostitution. But for a man, it takes something for him to get going, for him to get aroused. He has to be attracted. Um, like, uh, so I think that we're supposed to be. Um, I think it's the most healthy thing for people to be in nuclear families. That's what I think. Um, it's the most healthy for the kid instead of having a bunch of different dudes coming around in the family, and that creates a lot of problems. That kid, that dude isn't the actual father of the kids, so then he might end up diddling the kids if he's a predator, or he might hit the kids, or he doesn't care about the kids as much, and vice versa for the female. She doesn't care about the kids. This whole blended family thing it was something very rare in the olden days. Um, but that's what's people's problem is they don't have any purpose, and like it's so crazy, you know. I'm not saying that my kids are a mistake or nothing like that, but like it's weird for me. It's weird because like I was so immature. I don't know where I would be right now if I didn't have my kids. They helped me grow up. Maybe I'd be some. Maybe I wouldn't have no purpose, and I would have ended up some type of homeless, drug addict. I don't know, but they helped me grow up. Um, and the problem is, it's so hard to have kids nowadays because it's just so expensive. Everything's so expensive, so people don't want to have kids. Um, and these companies, like, they don't think long term. They don't think replacement population. They don't think, they just they're just gonna send jobs overseas. Um, so funny with the globalism type of deal, relying on other countries to do work for your country. That requires a lot of movement around and use of resources that are bad for the environment. But they're pushing this agenda, and they've been pushing that. That's what they wanted. Instead of countries staying to themselves and developing their own things, we're going to be, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, you're not going to use battery power to ship cargo with cargo ships. You're just not going to use, you're going to use, that's what we have. And that takes a lot of power. It takes a lot of oil or to move those ships and those goods. So like they're they don't make any sense. That's why I just don't believe anything that they say. And these are the people who are responsible for um, what we see on what we've seen on TV, what the ads we see. They're responsible for like all the agendas being pushed. And I think I'm gonna put it. I don't have to have proof. I don't have to have studies. I can see. I can look at history and I can see the way things are, and I can see the way that the elite have run things, and they want to destroy so they can come down and buy things at bare dollar at the lowest point and build it back up. And that's what's happening with America right now. Like, America is probably the greatest land in the whole world. Now, why do I say this? Well, we have, on both sides, we have um, oceans on both sides, so we can connect to, you know, to China, or we can connect to Europe on the other side. Well, here in America, we don't have to go to any other place if you're an American citizen, because you have everything here that you have other places. You got mountains, you got desert, you got trees, you got oceans, lakes. I mean, that's the same place. That's the same thing as everywhere else. I mean, you might have bigger mountains other places, but it's like it's it's the same type of, we got snow, we got everything, and that's what makes America the greatest land in the whole world. And we have so much resources here. Um, so they've wanted to take down America so they can take it over. Um, that's just my opinion. And the way to take down America is not with brute force, because we all have guns. It's inside, it's psychology, it's social conditioning. Um, this mental illness, in my opinion, is a direct result in maybe some of the foods that, or maybe a lot of the foods we're eating, maybe um, maybe the technology we have. We're getting weaker, we're getting softer. Um, not families used to live together. If they weren't, it was very rare for families to, maybe like, I don't know, maybe 100 years ago, move away from each other. I'm sure that they did, but they stayed in the general same community their whole lives. Now families are so split, and they go off to bigger and better things, but then because they're chasing the bag, but they don't, which is easy for them to do when you're a kid and you've pretty much been abandoned and conditioned to that. You're not conditioned um, to to care about what really matters, and that's family, and that's relationships. Um, but when your parents are split up, and I was my mom, my grandfather just passed away, and my mom got some pictures they used to have. My grandma passed away a year ago, so she has some pictures she brought up, and I was looking through the pictures, and I see pictures with my mom and dad together. Um, and I'm there. My parents divorced when I was 3, and then like I don't even care about the pictures. A lot of people would probably be like, "Oh man, that's so cool." But I'm looking at the pictures, and I kind of like just want to like get rid of them and throw them away. Now, why is that? That's from my youth. Well, you see a family, right? And the potential of that, what that family could have been, and it's just completely fucking destroyed. And from those decisions of, maybe my parent, I'm not gonna blame anything on my, I'm not gonna, I'm not hating on my parents, but maybe they've had some emotional traumas, from when they were younger, that they didn't, you know, address or try to heal from. They, and I forgive them. They just decided to split up, and they shouldn't. They probably rushed into it anyway. Um, Sometimes I think that I would be. Uh, I wish I could go back in time and make it so they never met. And that's bad for me to think about, but I still, it's like, I don't know. And I think that that's like a thing that people like, they think about, like, what is the purpose of me? Why am I here? I have kids, I've had kids, and um, honestly, like, I didn't get to enjoy them like I wanted to. Um, I remember when I was a teenager saying that I'm never gonna have kids, or I'm never gonna get divorced, and then I end up getting it. Um, and I'm trying to convey to my kids to not, to try to at least break the cycle. Obviously, I did the same thing. I rushed into something. Um, I had no direction. I had no direction when I was young at all. I didn't really rush into the relationship with their mom, but I had no example growing up of a healthy way to look at, of a healthy healthy relationship. when when your parents divorce when you're 3, and then um a stranger just comes in your life, and now he's your stepdad. You don't even know him, and you just come back from your dad's, and all of a sudden there's this dude here. That's weird. That's weird. And then, like, it's not normal for people to have a family. It is now, but it is like in the past, and it's not normal for humans. Okay, whatever is normal here in America is not through the whole world, and is not through history. It's just, this is very recent. This is very new phenomenon we're going through. It is not normal to have a family to, and then split up, and then take on and form another family. Um, in some instances, replacing that other family with a different family. When I say that, I say, like, um, pretty much replacing your kids with other kids, and not being there for them. And then bringing in, it was funny in mine, I had a stepbrother, and then I had a half sister. So it's like, it's just a weird dynamic, and when I was growing up, I was extremely, I was so angry. I was so angry, and looking back, yeah, I had every right to be angry, um and my parents didn't understand it. Well, they didn't have the internet, and they're not psychologists. It's because of the environment. The environment that kids are being raised in. Um, they're not being taught morals, respect, standards. They're not being shown good examples. They're just giving them and I'm a guilty of this, but I've done other things and I've spent time with my kids. Um and I think that my kids are more mentally healthy than I was at their age. Way more. I think they're like light years ahead of me. Um than I was. So I've done some good things, but it's trying to reverse the toxic cycle of your parents. Um, it's like, it's so weird that like a parent doesn't care unless it's like the holidays. It's so weird to me. And I think that a lot of, like for me, I've been like so isolated, right? Um, I've had different family, like I've had people around, but I think like the situations I was in, it brought a lot of anxiety to me, and I think that it probably contributed to um, me just wanting to be by myself. Um, and it when you're from like 2 to 7 is pretty much developing your subconscious, and you have to go against your subconscious, and it's like now I'm an adult. I've always had this um thing with me is like, why do I not like to be around people? I don't know. Why does it I'm a funny person, but um why can I not just be funny around people I don't know? Why can I not be clever? Why do I just like why is my brain always just blank around them? I'm intelligent. I have intelligence, but and people think I'm funny like when they get to know me, but when I'm just not an outgoing social person, and it's always going to be like that. And I have to go against my subconscious to try to go past that. That's just who I am, and I've tried to fight it, but it's a conditioning from when I was a kid, and that's such a hard thing to go against and try to. And trust me, I've grown a lot. I continue to try to grow more and more and better myself, but that's like the one of the hardest things that I can do is try to force things that I just don't want to. Try to be social when I don't want to be social. Try to go up to people I don't really want to talk to and try to be social with them, and like try to relate to them. Um yeah, I say all this. This video is a long video, but I think there's a lot of good information in here. I think a lot of people nowadays are from broken homes, um, and they're so confused. They don't want their kids raised how they were raised. They see there's in our society um, how men are versus women now. Like we shouldn't be competing against each other. We should be um, like we both have different strengths. It's like a yin versus yin and yang. That's what we are. We should not be competing against each other. Um, we should be working together. That's what we should be doing. Um, And I think men have traditionally been the leaders, and if you want something to blame it on, it's the men who have allowed the society to become what it is. Men used to be highly immature. Um, all men are dogs. I remember growing this up. All men are dogs because yeah, we have the desire to be with other people physically, but it takes a lot of strength to avoid that temptation and understand what really matters, because even if you indulge in that temptation, it's such a fast thing and you just ruin something really good because you just broke the trust, whether it's a man or a woman, um, in your relationship. How can they trust you again? Because you're weak. How can it not happen again? Um, People just don't value relationships, and that's a big problem. That's a huge problem. People here in America, they don't they don't put up with, man, women are the worst with it, but I'm sorry. They are the worst with it. Is like, for instance, I could go on a date with a girl, right? And I could be really attracted to her. And I might be a little bit nervous. Well, boom, she's not attracted to me no more. Because I showed a little bit of nervousness. Well, if she actually um, looked past it and then gave me another chance, and maybe next time we hung out I was more confident, um, maybe we would have a great relationship. But it's like, it's really bad with women. Anything that you do, it's so hard for a man to develop a relationship with a woman because of this. Anything that you do, you can't show any type of badness. We all have red flags. There's all these dating coaches or PUAs or red pills is like red flags to avoid. Yes, you got to look for the major red flags for sure. But we all have red flags because we're not perfect. And it's just like, you have to accept that person for how they are. And you shouldn't accept somebody who abuses you, or like is who has severe problems. But like, if somebody has like, if they're a little bit maybe boring, or like they have something that annoys you, like, you have to accept that. You have to accept that they're not going to change unless they want to change for themselves. I just think that you get to a point when you have a ton of money where you can't really buy a better lifestyle because you're already there. I just think that you get to a point where you've either, and it goes for men too. You go with all these people. You go on dates or you hook up or whatever, and it gets to a point where it's just like you're trading. You get out of that relationship with that person that you've been with for a long time. You're just trading somebody's crap for somebody else's crap. And um, we all have good things and we all have bad things. I think that our society just doesn't it's just to the point because it's so shallow that it looks at it. It could be like guys thinking that they deserve Instagram model women, or women that want guys that are over 6 foot tall. It's like, man, it's not all about looks. It's not all about. There's so many different factors. And if you find someone that you're really cool with, um, and you've been in a relationship with for a long time, like, you're probably not gonna find nothing much better. Why don't you try to? It's a lot easier to try to work on your relationship and try to fix things, um, than it is just to. Yeah, you can find someone and have the honeymoon phase, but that goes away. Well, you just gonna continue to have honeymoon phase for the rest of your life. Um, and for females, eventually, like, they're gonna get to be outdated in the dating market, where it's just nobody's gonna want, like, nobody's gonna find that attractive. Like, you're not gonna be an 80-year-old woman in the dating market. Come on, man. So we're just gonna end up alone. And then, your partner could pass away still, but it's just, people are been fed lies. Um, people were married for like their whole lives for a reason. Um, I just think that here in America, people are toxic. I think we're in a toxic environment. I think that people, the priorities are all messed up. Their values are all upside down. And, well, when okay, like video games, I don't understand. Okay, like, it's so easy to program people. Okay, Madden is trash. It pretty much, the graphics are good, but there's like a lot of glitches they don't fix. They focus on Ultimate Team, and the Ultimate Team is, um, what happens is you get like cards or whatever, and then you want to get to be like a 99 overall team, and you play online and stuff like that. So people put real money into it to boost up their team. Well, when the next Madden comes out, all that time that they've played that game from the year before, and all the money that they spent on that game, is erased, and they have to start over in the new Madden doing the same. And I just don't understand, like, how people continue to do this cycle, buying the same game over and over again. I still have um, Major League Baseball, this show. And yeah, there's that you think that, oh, things are better, but it's not much better. The 21, now they're coming out with 23, but 21 and 22 are very similar. And all I did was download the rosters. That's all I did, because I like to play franchise mode. I don't even like to play the Ultimate Team crap. I don't like that. But you see, it's the same cycle. Like, okay, it's a new video game. Everything's they're excited for it, and they're starting over. And then all the stuff that they did last year is pretty much wasted now. And it's like the same type of feeling with females, probably, where, spent that time in developing that relationship with that guy, and then she thinks she finds someone better, and then she's excited, but it's the same thing. There's still crap that he's got to deal with this guy. He still has problems. He still has annoyances that you don't like. He's not going to be, no one's perfect. Um, and it's just like, I don't know, man. People expect their partner to be perfect, and they're not. And social media has been even a bigger steroid, has been a big, has even, it's put keeping up with the Joneses on steroids, and it makes people feel crappy about themselves. And they take what they have for granted. And there's also manipulation where people aren't paid well enough. So it's just like there's all these different things thrown at us. And we had the COVID in 2020. Everyone's all scared of it. And then we had all the things in 20, we had everyone doing the thing in 2021. And if you don't do it, then you're bad. You're a bad person, or you're fired. And it's just, and people didn't have to work because of 2020, and then I think it takes 66 days to develop a habit. Well, if you don't have to work for a whole year and a half, then you're not going to want to work. So, and then now we have all this inflation because they printed all this money out, and now we're like $10 trillion in debt from like 2 years. Um, and they're probably going to want to do some more stimulus coming up, and hyperinflate the currency even more out of existence. So there's no like stability. It's just chaotic, constantly chaotic, and it's just people want to start a family if things are like stable. Um, if you're constantly getting new partners all the time, there's no stability. I think I think a woman that has a that's not on social media that much, or has a little social media, is way more valuable than one that has a big social media for having a relationship with. I think that it's more important. You could have your extended family at like a little Facebook or whatever social media for your extended family. So like if you don't have, you got cousins and aunts and stuff like that, they can see things, but then they don't talk to you no more. They don't need to talk to you because they can see what you're doing. They might comment a little this or that, but it is good to have that. But when you have a big social media and then you have other people coming in, and a man can't compete with that, man. There's no way, like a regular man can't compete with the internet. There's needs to be like a balance with social media. But from what I can see is a lot of people are choosing to live in the digital reality. I see it all the time, especially with females. If a female is not texting you back, okay, she's on her phone all the time. She's not that interested. You're not that much of a priority to her. So if you text a girl and it takes her hours to respond, unless she's like at work or whatever, she's not that interested in you. Women are on their phone like all the time. Um, but yeah, that's it.